About a week ago, Samsung posted on the Samsung Newsroom blog a post that sent the tech world into a little bit of a tailspin. Meet the next chapter of Ultra was the title of this blog post, which very clearly talked about their next upcoming Galaxy Z Fold device. They describe their users' desire for larger screen, better cameras, and new ways to create and connect, but then they talk about how it goes beyond just simply upgrading features in a smaller and more portable form factor. The post is very, very vague, but they do say that the Ultra experience is ready to unfold. And of course, this got a lot of people to think that there was going to be some sort of Galaxy Z Fold 7 in addition to a Galaxy Z Fold 7 Ultra. That is absolutely not what is happening. At most, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 might be called Galaxy Z Fold 7 Ultra or something like that. But this is absolutely just branding. But like I said, this post is short and it's quite vague. It mostly just describes what it's like to use a folding phone. It doesn't really go much further than that. But today we're going to talk about a new blog post from Samsung on the very same Newsroom website. But this time I think that there's a little bit more substance to talk about. So they start off just sort of waxing poetic about the Galaxy Z Fold and about users' desire to have a more and more powerful device that fits comfortably in their pocket. We'll skip ahead to this last portion because this is where that substance actually is. Smartphones are constant companions that we tuck into our pockets, use with one hand, and take everywhere we go. So it's only natural that users desire a foldable device that is easy to carry, that is as easy to carry as it is to use. To that end, Samsung engineers and designers are refining each generation of the Galaxy Z series to be thinner, lighter, and more durable than the last. Of course, while this is technically true, it is also objectively true that the Galaxy Z Fold 6 is considerably thicker than some of the other competitors on the market. Even Google has gone thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Samsung has fallen far behind. This last paragraph, this year, that journey reaches a new milestone. The newest Galaxy Z series is the thinnest, lightest, and most advanced foldables yet, meticulously crafted and built to last. Okay, this is an important sentence right here. They're claiming that their next device is the thinnest, lightest, and most advanced foldable yet. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this last part, most advanced foldable yet, because that is somewhat ill-defined. What makes a foldable the most advanced? Is it the camera hardware? Is it the battery technology? Is it the thickness? Is it the weight? I think everyone's going to have slightly different definitions, and I just don't want to get into the weeds of that. But this first part, thinnest and lightest, those are objective claims which are measurable. And notice, they are not saying that the next Z series is Samsung's thinnest and lightest. They are saying that it is the thinnest and lightest foldable yet. That is a very important distinction to make. Currently, the thinnest book-style folding phone on the market is the Oppo Find N5, which is listed at about 4.2 millimeters thick. Now, if you actually measure it and you include the bezel that sticks up around the perimeter of the device to keep the screen from touching, it's actually closer to 4.5, 4.6, something like that, somewhere in the 4.5 millimeter range. That's important because we have had these conflicting reports about the Z Fold 7 based on the CAD renders, where is it 4.5 millimeters or is it 3.9, which is absolutely stunning. Well, it turns out, according to OnLeaks, that's going to depend on if you measure that protruding bezel or not. With the bezel included, 4.5. With the bezel excluded, 3.9. So hopefully you're kind of framing things in the right way. Now, if we go by the way that OEMs measure folding phones, which is to exclude the bezel, 3.9 millimeters might indeed be the number, and that would make it the thinnest on the planet. As for lightest, well, Vivo is already claiming that their X Fold 5 is going to take that crown. If you remember, the X Fold 3 was 219 grams, and yet Vivo is claiming in a little bit of marketing that the X Fold 5 is going to be even lighter than that. So there is your mark to beat. Less than 219 grams and less than whatever this Vivo phone is going to weigh. Now, of course, these numbers are like hitting a moving target because Honor has a phone coming as well, and they're hinting that theirs is going to be the thinnest and the lightest as well. So we're not going to really know until the dust truly settles. But nonetheless, Samsung is very, very clearly positioning the next Z Fold as being right there with anyone in terms of thickness and in terms of the weight. Now, if you remember on that first post, we talked about this little imagery that they had here of a folding phone. And what I did is I overlaid the Galaxy Z Fold 7 renders and the Z Fold 6 renders on top of this, and I determined quite definitively that this animation does not show the Galaxy Z Fold 7. In fact, it perfectly matches the dimensions of the Galaxy Z Fold 6. This was for visual purposes only. However, in the new article, we have a new animation, and it does say simulated for illustrative purposes, and I think that we definitely need to keep that in mind. But we're also, of course, going to look a bit more closely at this little animation, because I think that this actually maybe is closer to the Fold 7. So looking at this a little bit larger, as this plays forward, at this point you can see that this device is being depicted as being incredibly thin. Now, is this actually the true thickness of the Fold 7? We definitely do not know. But I will say that when you compare this, don't look at the camera bump. But if you compare this to the Oppo Find N5, it really doesn't look all that different to me. It definitely looks like it's in that ballpark. But then it opens up, and I think that that's a pretty cool little animation. If we manage to get this fairly straight, I think that it's fairly obvious that if you double this, this is a device that is considerably wider than the Galaxy Z Fold 6. So I think that that is at least somewhat representative of the Fold 7. If we throw this image into our photo editor, we can do a few more things to compare it to the render of the Galaxy Z Fold 7, just to see if the aspect ratio lines up. Obviously, we can't know the exact size is correct, but if the aspect ratio, the shape of the device, is the same as the render, it does lend some credibility to that render. So we have the device here sort of at its halfway opened up state. Let's take the render of the Fold 7 from OnLeaks and overlay it on top with the opacity turned down just a little bit. And I think that what you can see is it is right there at that halfway point, which I think does make a lot of sense. But we can go a step further, because what I did is I took this tool here and I tried to go about halfway through and I cut it, I copied it, I pasted it on top of itself, and then I mirrored it so that I ended up with this. And yes, this does look a little bit strange, but I hope that you guys understand what I'm getting at. If you ignore this protrusion that is still there, this should be about right. And then if we once again overlay the Fold 7 render on top of it, I think, ladies and gentlemen, you have something that is pretty much spot on, right? Like, we're dealing with some imperfections, some fuzzy math, as I like to say, but that looks pretty doggone accurate. So I think with all that being said, this animation, despite being for illustrative purposes, does, I think, maybe, just maybe, have an accurate or relatively accurate depiction of the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And if that doesn't get you a little bit excited, I don't know what to tell you. So there you go, guys. Samsung has declared it will be the thinnest, the lightest, and the most advanced foldable yet. And if they don't mean it's the thinnest and lightest, then they need to fire whoever wrote this, because that's what you wrote, and that's what I think they are intending for us to take from this. It is the thinnest and the lightest, not their thinnest and their lightest. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, I'll put a link to this blog post down there as well. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.